Yo, yo. So I thought I'd give a breakdown on an official remix I did for my boy Hugo of his track Dress and Impress, and just see, yeah, how I approached it, what sort of insights I can share. And yeah, pretty cool. It's my first ever official remix for someone. So yeah, thought I'd show how it came along, and also get more familiar with talking to a camera because it feels very unnatural. But we got to get those reps in.
I like the way you walk. It's something about your style.
Such a tune.
Past the issues and let's meet our middle ground. It's always enough.
Such a track. And yeah, I got asked to do the remix through my mate Dylan, who's friends with Hugo. And I was like, yeah, I'll give it a crack. Because the only other time I've done an official remix for someone, or attempted to do an official remix from someone, it it sucked. It was in like 2020, and yeah, it just didn't go to plan. So I was like, all right, I'm not gonna say I can do it. I'll say I'll have a crack at it. So that way there's no pressure. So yeah, I got sent the stems, and I was like, this is such a great song. So I feel like I could do something with it. But I got sent the stems, and then in the first version for it, I kind of just overcomplicated it and tried to build out the track in this view, which is called the arrangement view, instead of the session view, which is low-key the goat when you're trying to make a track quickly and get the idea down. But I was trying to do it all in here, and the idea was just so complicated, and it just didn't work. But I didn't really care too much because I knew why it wasn't working. It's because I wasn't doing it in here. But I did get one cool bit from that first version, because even though the idea didn't come together at all, I was able to, because yeah, this is V7. In V1, I got this, and I'll go through and break it all down in order, and I'll try not to harp on too long. But I did get this.
I like the way you are. I like the way you are. I like the way you are.
So that was the only thing that came from the first version into future ones. Low key, let me just play this song so you know what it sounds like.
You know, with a bit of luck, I really think we're going to make it big.
Tune, dude. And then this is dope, man.
I like the way you are. 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 Something about your style.
I mean, that just sounds sick. But yeah, I guess I'll go down from the top to the bottom. But how I would have started the track, I think how I started it with this one is rather than using all the stems, I just grabbed the like WAV file of the song, and then this is consolidated now, but then what I did was like loop bits of it and like chop it and put it in order. For instance, I would have gone like, let me play it first. So that's just the master of the song, Hugo's song. But then what I would have done was I would have created another channel and like find bits I like. So cool. So I would have gone like, let's just say this is like that, and then I like duplicate that, and it would really just be trial and error. Like, let's see how that sounds. Just stuff like that. Like, that sounds pretty lame, but that's what I did to make this chop. And then what I did was just Command J to consolidate it. So yeah, that's all I did for the intro of this, which is mainly just like, it's like all of it. And it's like, and then just automating it a bit with some echo. And nothing too crazy on there. What other processing did we do? Legit nothing, but I do love using EQ3 to bring low end in. Because like you can see here, it's at 0, and then when it gets to here, I'm sort of bringing it in. Which is pretty cool. And then I have this transit too. There's an automation on that laddie. Cool. And that's just creating a weird space, like sort of feels like it's going into a room. Oh, and it's also doing that like. Pretty cool. So yeah, that's really it for this one. And then that's just easy to get an idea and a groove with, because then once I consolidated that, I put it into here, and then maybe just play that with that. And it's like, okay, now I'm getting an idea of like the first sort of sequence, and then adding on additional things rather than trying to like build out the story straight away, low key. Anyway, let's go on to the next thing. So this just would be, I would have been making a track a while ago, and the track itself probably didn't pan out, but I made some decent sounding drums, so then I sort of consolidated them and then put them probably in my user library somewhere for later use. And here we are. This is the later use, so let's listen to it. I mean, it sounds pretty good. Yeah, just a 909 kick, some hats. Yeah, and there's no processing on there, probably because I did the processing on it before I consolidated it. And yeah, that's the kick drum for the track, which might be a bit blasphemous to have the kick in one channel with hats and stuff, but we move. Nothing in there. Oh. What's in here? MS-20. True, I probably tried to add something here and it didn't work, so there's nothing there. There's nothing there as well. Okay, so those don't do anything. Pretty unorganized project, but I mean, I don't think anyone's creative process is that neat. And then let's listen to this. The OG, lad. The open hat. I don't even think I've changed the... Yeah, the velocity's the same on all of them, and there's no groove. You can hear the reverbs coming up, if I'm not mistaken. That would be from the master. Yeah, I just have this going throughout the track, which I'll explain a little bit later, but just adds a high pass filter and some reverb. Yeah, no processing on there, so pretty self-explanatory. Just just helps pick up the pace. It's the best. We have this 808. Cool, and the velocity is pretty much what is the same on everything, and there's a little bit of swing. I can't even hear the difference that swing's putting on, but it definitely, well, it has to be doing something. So you just put it on everything. I didn't even know this was in the mix. I cannot hear that at all, but I imagine it's doing something. Otherwise I wouldn't have kept it in. But see, I would have added that in, doing it from this process where I was like, okay, okay. Because you can hear it very subtly through there. And then it might get lost in the mix, but I guess it just adds some feel to it. Because that's what I'm doing when I'm trying to build out tracks. I'm just adding a bunch of different channels and then deleting them, adding them in, seeing if it helps the idea come to life, essentially. Oh, is that... Lad, I think this is the old project low-key. At the very end over here. True. That... We might play that at the end. Okay. Let's see what else there is. Yeah, here's that bit that I touched on earlier. The automation side of things, I think. Is that doing anything? Yeah, that's not doing anything at all. Yeah, it's not doing too much. In terms of processing, let's just loop this bit.
I like the way you are. I like the way you are. I like the...
Let's just turn all this off.
I like the way you are. I like the way you are. I like the way
It's pretty
you
dry.
are. I like the way you are. I like the way you are. I like the way.
And then let's put this back on. So number C, this is just a reverb I use for all my vocals.
I like the way you are. 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 I like the way.
This makes it sound nice. And then I have this echo, also by UAD.
I like the way you are. I like the way you are.
So I've just slowed it down here so you can hear what it's doing. Pretty subtle, honestly. Like if you have it in the, like even all the way
I
up,
like the way you are. I like the way you
then you can
are.
like
I
start
like
hearing
the
it.
way you
When it's
are.
like
I like
here,
the way you are. I like.
like it's really subtle, but I think it sounds pretty good. Alright, so you have those two on it, and then let's do this one.
I like the way you are. I like the way you are.
This is just adding more delay. Sounds pretty cool. This one's actually pretty dope. No cap. This one, I was watching a ruler tutorial. This producer, he makes like rolling house. He's really good. I was watching a tutorial of his, and he says he does a variation of this combo just to make things sound more analog. So we'll turn it on.
I like the way you are. I like the way you are. I like the way you are. I like the way.
You can hear it's adding heaps. So taking away the high end, he said that just helps it sound
I like the way
more analog, I guess.
I like the way you are. I like the way you are. I like
And it sounds good. It sounds good. I don't know why, but it just does. And then this bit crusher just is made to make things sound like old.
I like the way you are. I like the way you are. I like the way.
There's a bunch of different presets in here. It's pretty good. I'd actually recommend getting this if you have the spare money laying around. And then this one.
I like the way you are. I like the way you are. I like the way you
Is
are.
just the default preset from Decapitator, which is a great saturator. And then the trick was messing around with the tone.
I like the way you are. 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 I like the way.
It acts as like an EQ almost. And then there's just a phaser.
I like the way you are. I like the way
You can sort of hear what it's
you
doing.
are. I like the way you are. I like the way you are.
Phasers are super subtle, but they are good for adding movement. So yeah, and it's good for making a repeating sound not sound as repetitive. So yeah, that's that vocal, which is like a very central element of the song, because then it like teases. So when the main vocal does come in, it is like finally I hear something new, even though the same thing's repeating. And it was a pain to get that in time. Warping samples, like vocal samples, is actually my kryptonite. Even though I had like the official remix stems, it was still kind of hard, which is why it's sort of like, it's not perfectly on beat, which sounds good. I did it in a way that makes it sound good, but that was also just because I suck at getting vocals in time. What's this?
Something about your style.
Ho 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 ho. Story time with this one. So before the first drop, there's nothing else is solo. Yeah, it sounds like this.
You know, with a bit of luck, I really think we're gonna make it big.
Now, in the first version, I sent the boyo Hugo. Instead of that old-timey vocal, it was like this. So it's... Where is it? Yeah, man.
something about your style.
Which in hindsight
Make it big.
was the right decision. I had this idea to make it sound like a speak and spell because I heard this really cool track that I think his name's Dr. Banana. It's what Dr. Banana played, and I was like, I wanna make this like a bit more wonky, and by making a speak and spell, like this DJ Banana track that he played, it would have that side of being wonky, but then also uplifting and disco. I'll find the song, and then you'll get what I mean.
Welcome, stranger.
Anyway, I thought that was so hard, and that was my original idea for the pre-drop. But it just sounded horrible. And so when I sent the first version to the boyo, he was like, "This is." Like he liked the remix, but he's like, but he just wasn't sold on that bit. I was like, dude, you're 100% right. This is what I was trying to go for this, but it didn't work. And I had the rest of the track sort of figured out, but it was just the pre-drop, like what to have there. So then I actually left the track alone for like 2-3 weeks because I wasn't sure of like what to put there. So I just worked on some other things and just let it breathe. And then I was like, all right, well, what if I try and put something like sort of uplifting from an old movie in it? And there's a bunch of websites you can use to find quotes, like samples you can use of a specific quote. So I don't know, the first thing that came to my mind was like, we're going to make it big. And I tapped into this website. The websites are like, if you just type in on Google, find quote for sample, a bunch of them will pop up, and there isn't any ads on them, and like, you don't have to sign up, you can just do it. And there was this movie called, I think it was Stardust from 1960 something. And yeah, it had a cool bit, which is this one.
You know, with a bit of luck, I really think we're going to make it big.
And I was like, this is sick. So yeah, I put that in there, and then I played around a lot with the placement. If you hold down Command, and then you like drag it, and then holding Command, you like drop it, then you can get it off grid, so it isn't as quantized, and play around with the placement. And that's what I did, and yeah, I think it sounds pretty cool. There's a little bit of reverb on there, and then just a little bit of phase mistress just to add a bit of movement. I didn't pitch it at all, and so that's what we ended up with. But there was quite a few things I went through, like, now that I recall, like I didn't find that straight away. I was looking for a little bit, and then I found it. I was like, cool. And I checked to see if the movie had any clout on IMDb, and it had like 20 ratings, and it was from 1960. So I don't think I'm going to get sued for using that. I think the boyo, Hugo, and I are safe. But yeah, I did so many takes. Like, what's this?
Something about your style.
Yeah, I tried to get it right. Like, I did so many takes.
It's something about your style.
What's this one? I don't even do anything. Anyway, so yeah, that's the vocal portion. And then this is the main vocal.
I like the way you walk. It's something about your style.
Damn, the boyo Hugo got those pipes.
I like it all too much, from your hair to your dial. but I cannot resist you. The way you get down. So let's move past the issues and let's meet on middle ground.
So good. So yeah, it like
I like the way
it's like, yeah, the first drop happens, and then it sort of goes back to the start. Like that sounds the exact same as the very first bit of the song, and then those vocals
I
come in.
like the way you are. I like the way you are. I like the way you are. I like the way you are. Something about your style.
I just think it's so cool when everything fades away and then the vocal comes through. I love music like that. Like in a lot of rap music. Like I remember like 2016, like Smoke Perp. Or like Triple X and Tasha and all that stuff. Like or Ski Mask the Slump got like everything else would fade out and just be their vocals and then everything kicks back in. I just think like subtracting and then adding back in makes things sound so hard. So I didn't know processing at all on that. Just a little bit of my own reverb because the boyo Hugo did all his own processing on it. When he explored the stem, like that's already been like mixed and probably mastered and everything. And then what's this?
Keep in the rhythm, keep in the rhythm, keep in the rhythm, keep in the rhythm, keep in the rhythm.
Oh yeah, and this one is like when it's
Keep in the rhythm, keep in the rhythm, keep in the rhythm.
What would you do if you made it big?
I like it.
cool. So I'll start off with this one. So really just by playing around with placement is what made it sound good. But how I did it was if you hold down shift and then grab the end, you can like change like the warping of it. And then go like, you go like, just sounds cool. But yeah, pretty much the exact same processing. It's like a low pass filter. Bit of an interesting pattern to that. Timeless and the exact same processing as on the other one. So yeah, what's this? That cursed speaking spell. And then I have this one, which is just looping.
Keep in the rhythm, keep
But
in
it's
the
panning
rhythm,
around
keep in the
with
rhythm,
just a
keep
pan
in the
man.
rhythm, keep in the rhythm.
Just cool if you have headphones on. It's like that. And then this Transit 2 is just doing some like freaky stuff.
Keep in the rhythm, keep in the rhythm, keep in the
It's like automating
rhythm,
up.
keep in the rhythm, keep.
Just like a bit of ear candy. This is a goated plugin. I think it was like $100, but you can really add some cool stuff in it. And then like say if we lock it to that automation of it going up, we can like change it to other things.
Keep in the rhythm, keep in the rhythm, keep in the rhythm, keep in the rhythm, keep.
Lad, that sounds sick. Let's try that.
Keep in the rhythm, keep in the rhythm, keep in the rhythm.
What would you do if you made it big?
I like the way you dance.
Well, if the boyo ever asked me to do another remix for this song, I'm gonna use that because that sounds sick. Yeah, that's really it for that one. That's one called Drums here, but that would have been for the other remix. Nothing there. This is just like a fill. with my drum reverb, which is the Lexicon again, the Go. Still has a bit of reverb on it from the thing, from the master, but like that's what it sounds like.
I really think we're gonna make it big.
Yeah, I just can't really be bothered programming fills a lot of the time. Is a cymbal. This helps lead into the next bit. One thing I'm trying to improve on is using effects in my songs to help, I guess, guide the listener. I find them a bit, like, I feel like it's cool to not use effects, like typical effects like white noises and rises, because it's so played out, because like everyone uses them and it's like it guides the listener, where I'm like, I'd like to try and guide the listener in, I guess, less obvious ways, if that makes sense. Like with that other transit too, that sort of just like puts things into a different space. You're like, okay, the drop's probably going to come. Like it like sucks in and then sucks out. But using stuff like this is, it's like you kind of just, it just helps the song work. Yeah.
I really think we're gonna make it big.
That's, I think that's just a necessity, and I don't always do that stuff. So yeah, I'm just trying to do that stuff a bit more. Little bit of reverb on that, nothing special. And the OG, all the people I make songs with know that, because when I'm doing this, when I'm like doing this stuff, and then I start running out of ideas, I always just chuck a vinyl noise down. Just makes me feel like I'm adding something to the mixer. Like I remember I was making a track with, there was two people in the room, and they were making a track, and then they spun me the MacBook. They're like, dude, do you have any ideas? And to add my 2 cents, I just chucked this in, because I didn't have any ideas. It's just my go-to. I just chuck one of these down. The first time I got the idea to do it was I did a lesson with Jordan Brando in like 2021, I want to say, maybe 2022. And he said that in all his tracks, he just puts down one of these, and I took it as gospel ever since. A little bit of EQ rolling off things below 30, but I doubt that's doing anything. And it just helps it sound like it's something from like the 90s or early 2000s. And I never really understood why people want to make things sound analog instead of digital, but I don't know, I guess it just makes it feel like sonically like nostalgic from a different era. I have no clue, but I guess I like my stuff sound like that. And then we have this drum loop with no processing. Yeah, this is not. Yeah, this is sick. It just gives it that, like, I don't know, it gives it like a rolling human feel. Yeah, stumbled across this sample pack somewhere on the deep, I'm not going to say the deep wide web, but somewhere on the internet. A lot of times if I'm bored, I'll just go through like Reddit or just wherever, I'll just type in like, I don't know, like drum break sample pack, and I'll just go on the wildest quests to find niche samples. And I remember I found a sample pack that had a bunch of like indie rock breaks, and this was like one of them. So that's so good. So yeah, that's just in the song. I don't even bring it back in for the second bit. So yeah, it's quite subtle, but you can sort of hear it at the end here, how it adds a nice swing to it. We're getting to the end now, so if you've made it this far, I'll I don't know what I'll do, but I'm impressed because this is quite the app. This is just the texture, and even though it's like quite low in the mix, you can really hear it. Like, this adds nice movement throughout. Where it's most prominent is probably like. Yeah, like. You can hear it just like.
I like the way you are. 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 Something about you.
It just adds a nice padding underneath it all, movement. I think it's from Archie Hamilton's sample pack. I've used it a couple of times in tracks super low in the mixer. But yeah, and then I have another one, which low-key. This is the one you can hear, honestly, a little bit more. This is also from Archie Hamilton's sample pack. Yeah, like goes into it when the vocal comes out, and like if we just mute this group. I like the way you are. Something. It doesn't flow as well, I feel like. I like the way you are. Something. It's all super subtle, but I feel like it leads nicely into it. And then we have a filter freak probably doing something very subtly. That's actually doing heaps, okay. that's doing heaps, like. Where you are, like the way you are, like the way you are. I like the way you are. Something. Yeah, it's sort of. Well, it's EQing it essentially. It's taking out a bunch of it and only leaving little bits, which is pretty cool. It's also adding movement, moving it around, and then there's just this flanger. Just a random one I would have tried. And then this one, low-key, pretty cool. I was at Pitch this year, Pitch Music and Arts. Camped with some lovely people. And the music finished on, I think it was the Sunday night. Yeah, I think it was the Sunday night, which was the second last night. And we're walking back. I think it was Faster Horses played. Killer set. It was so sick. And anyway, we're walking back to the campsite, and sometimes what I'll do, this might sound weird, is I'll whip out my phone and I'll turn on my voice memo and just capture like the Foley ambience of walking back to a campsite. So like, let's turn that off, and then like. That chick just say you play Fortnite? I mean, sometimes me and the boys drop in and play some Fortnite. And then my mate Matt did the same thing, and I don't think he ever used it, but it's a good way to, like, I guess, put your personal experiences into a song. There was one bit where this chick was like, I didn't even get to use the rock pools, which I wanted to, like, sort of open that bit of the sample up so you heard it before the pre-drop, because I didn't get to use the rock pools either this year. The music festival added in a rock pool, and I thought that was such like a funny bit. So then if people were listening to the song, they'd be like, oh, was that from Pitch, because they had the rock pool. And yeah, it was just a nice touch. Ultimate, like you can even see here, I think I tried to do it, but it didn't end up coming to fruition, but still had fun. But you can just like hear the muffles, and then like I'm automating the volume there. And I know it's like cool because like with these ones I've used two samples from someone else, but then I've recorded my own like ambience Foley thing there. And like obviously don't record people's personal conversation, that's weird, but if you're just getting like bits when you're at like a party or an event, and like walking through, I feel like that's a cool way to sample. It might be an invasion of privacy, who knows, but played a nice little part in this song of like adding a bit of me into it. And then what do we have here?
What would you do if you made it big?
You can really only hear that at the end. This nice ear candy. I would have gotten this from one of my weird little sample packs. And then another thing, this is, so with that original movie sample I found, I was like, I think we're going to make it big. I then went and found the full movie, I think it was on like YouTube or something, and found that bit, and then I recorded, like I watched the movie for a little bit after that to see if there was a response, like because we have the bit in the first drop, it's like, oh, you know, a bit of like, we'll make it big. And then I was like, okay, for the second drop, it would be cool if we had something like responding to that. And then I found this. Like,
what would you do if you made it big?
yeah, so I was pretty happy when I was like, oh, this works perfectly. And then this is just from one of the original stems from the boy Hugo. And that just adds just like a nice feel. Just fades nicely into the next section. What else? Low key, I feel like that might be it. And then I also
Made it big.
yeah, that's basically the song. Hopefully some wisdom was gleaned in that. Out now on Spotify. Beezy remix of Dress and Impress by maybe Hugo, the boyo. Have any questions, leave them down below. And yeah, have a great day.